Let me ask you a question, fellow hunter. When was your first experience with Monster Hunter? Were you an OG player from the PS2, or did you start with World? I've been playing Monster Hunter since Monster Hunter 3U, and that title changed my brain chemistry. I had never played a game quite like it before, and that still rings true today. Monster Hunter Wilds just released recently, and with it comes a new generation of hunting action. But this time, the devs wanted to try and tell a more engaging story, one that has actual characters and a more engaging plot than most of the titles in the series. I finally got through the main story segment that is focused around low rank, so in this video, the first one of a planned series of videos discussing the 3 major components of Wilds, I want to talk about what worked for me and what didn't as a veteran of the series when looking at the beginning of this adventure. And I think you may be as surprised as I was to find out what story beats specifically actually clicked for me. Here's my review on the Monster Hunter Wilds low rank experience. Before I get into it, I want to lay a foundation for where my thoughts stem from. To start, and in case you don't know, Monster Hunter games have historically been released with 2 versions. The base game, which includes low and high rank, and then a G or Ultimate release, which adds G rank. In the last 2 major titles, Monster Hunter World and Rise, that second release now comes packaged as an expansion that comes out around a year or so after the release of the base game. Low rank, and by extension the base games of the series, have been historically easy, with low rank almost always being a tutorial of sorts to get you, the player, acclimated with the many systems of Monster Hunter. I will, however, avoid talking in detail about those same systems that you already may be familiar with. All I'll say is that the combat is more of that same fantastic Monster Hunter gameplay, but better than ever before in every way that I can think of. The menus are more World-styled menus, and the upgrade paths for weapon and armor are more like World. This stuff really doesn't make much of a difference for low rank, which is why I want to skip over the details until I make the video on high rank and this title's endgame. Okay, we can now finally move on to the bad. Let's get all the negativity out of the way and talk about what I genuinely found bad this time around. With an emphasis on story, the devs over at Capcom clearly wanted to help players focus and hone in on that narrative, and with that desire comes some decisions that I genuinely find baffling. I've never been a fan of railroading in video games, which railroading is a form of forcing a player down a predetermined path without being able to do anything else. And in Monster Hunter, this almost feels criminal. The first half or so of the low-rank story portions use this style of game design to an absurd degree, at times making me remember the worst parts of Red Dead Redemption 2, a title that also railroaded the player way too many times. I simply do not understand why this was needed, as it slows the pacing down horribly. And it's not even like the story itself is at fault. It doesn't start slow or is poorly written or anything. The big issue here is that you spend so much time waiting to do cool things that you end up spacing out. It took me getting to the events in the oil well basin to really feel invested, and after that, it really was thankfully all uphill. The performance on PC and optimization overall, however, leaves a lot to be desired. Though on my rig, the game looks pretty fantastic, minus some pesky texture loading issues. I know this isn't the best way to release such an anticipated title. I hope that Capcom can fix these issues, because there is a high resolution texture pack that I'm sure makes the game look a bunch better, but there's just simply no way of running that perfectly at the moment. This negative isn't exactly low rank related, but I felt it worth mentioning. Also, even though I mentioned earlier that low rank has been historically easy, the game is very easy, but I will get more into that discussion when talking about the high rank and endgame portion of the video game in my next video. So, let's move on to the good. Due to the open world design and interconnected nature of the worlds in Wild, the map structure felt less cluttered and somewhat easier to navigate than in Monster Hunter World. I won't even mention Rise here since those maps were extremely flat and simple. At times, there can be a frankly absurd number of paths and quarter you can take to your objective, but overall it does feel pretty seamless, and I can kind of see why the devs provided the option to use autopilot on your Sacred from the start, since it can feel overwhelming to see so many little objects and markers on your maps. The areas just end up feeling far less cluttered, and I'm very happy about that. No more Ancient Forest visual overload, baby! I do have one gripe about this, and it is that because the Sacred guides you to wherever you need to go, you don't really get to learn the maps, which was something that you did in the previous generation of Monster Hunter games. By previous, I mean the old generation. That's before the world changed everything. Monster Hunter World changed everything. So that is a caveat that I have about that. But overall, the world feels less cluttered. I also do wish they were more connected. They're not connected very well. But yes, less clutter is good. From what I've seen, all of the low-ranked weapon designs are fantastic. They do not repeat, they don't use that slap-on design from World, which, if I recall correctly, I believe the devs had stated they would be gone. So we're back, baby, with those incredibly unique weapon looks. Also, low-rank armor looks fantastic. I ended up making way more sets than I ever thought I would by the time the credits rolled by. I really can't wait to see how the armors look in high rank. Now let's talk about the great things in Monster Hunter Wilds low rank. Monster designs have always been and continue to be excellent in Wilds. The returning monsters look better than ever, and some have even surprised me with their movesets being refined to the degree that they are in this Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Some have even surprised me with their movesets being refined to the degree that they are in this iteration. What surprised me the most, however, is how much fun the new monsters have been. Almost every single one has been a hit, and their intro cutscenes are all excellent and high quality, giving each new encounter a very cinematic and at times epic feel. I absolutely love the new Cephalopod skeleton and new Udra in particular, and all of the Apex monsters, but there is one in particular that took the cake for me and almost instantly became one of my favorite fights in the entire Monster Hunter series, and that's Shaywu. This weird alien octopus looks like something straight out of Bloodborne, and I loved every single second of it. The fight, the area music, the way that it moves and slithers and attacks and digs into the ground, sprouting somewhere else. This is an awesome monster, and I can't wait to see how high rank and eventually master rank fares in monster designs. The music has also been exceptional. Coming from the third generation of Monster Hunter games, I was treated to some incredible music right off the bat. So it's always been a bit disappointing to me when I played Worlds and was genuinely let down by the majority of those tracks. They just lacked something, you know? But not here, baby. We're back. And composer Miwako Chinone, who may or may not have composed the entire soundtrack, it's hard to confirm right now, knocked it out of the park. Some of the tracks in this game will be all-timers for the series and use instrumentation in ways that they had never done previously. Listen to the Guardian Arkville soundtrack and tell me otherwise. Really good stuff. Now, this is a special section. I want to talk about what surprised me. The surprisingly good stuff. Historically, low rank has never been the place for a good story in Monster Hunter. But in Wilds, I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of enjoyment that I got out of the writing in that particular set of story. There's one aspect that really stood out, and to properly explain why that is, you would need to have finished low rank, which, spoiler alert I guess, and I'll have to take you back about a dozen years in time and get a little real with y'all. It's March 2013. My younger brother, who has been into Monster Hunter since he first played Tri on the Wii, is excited about the latest entry. I am about to take a trip, and he offers to buy me a copy of Monster Hunter 3U for the 3DS, so I can play it on the plane ride. I accept and proceed to playing the game. I choose Longsword, I hunt a Great Jaggy, I'm falling in love. But something else happened during that trip that I could have never seen coming. My partner at the time, who I had built a family with, admitted she had an affair. World-shattering news. We were married, built a life together. And I couldn't really do anything about it at that moment. I mean, I was vacationing at my dad's house, dude. Sleeping in the same room that my grandfather once occupied. I simply had to push through. So I kept on booting up that little launch 3DS at night when everyone else was asleep just to get away from it all, just to keep my sanity. This is another reason why I love Monster Hunter so much, and it holds such a special place in my heart, because it just happened to be there when I needed it the most. So when I'm playing through the story of Wilds, and one of the themes is choosing your life, choosing what to do with this new freedom, and how those choices will pave the road you take, yeah, I was kind of taken back to that moment in 2013 where I had to make a choice that I don't regret. By my own order. This line sent chills down my spine. As the player, we the hunters have always been ordered by the guild to take on the beasts, but this time we made the choice for the betterment of the environment at the unfortunate cost of someone's immediate feelings, that someone being Nata, another character who also had just begun to live and now had gained that freedom of choice only for it to be taken away just as quickly. Surprisingly, I got emotional, shed a tear even, because we have to move on. We have to grow. I didn't expect Monster Hunter to hit such an emotional tone for me, but, well, here we are. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoy the story and what it's set out to talk about. To talk about nature, the balance of it, the harsh reality, and of life itself, and what we can do, what we must do to remain strong. Yes, the beginning was slow. Yes, there's too much walking and talking and railroading. And yes, this is probably a very singular opinion. But this end, this payoff, was so worth it to me. This was a stepping stone for storytelling in Monster Hunter, and I hope the team strives for better in the next generation, whenever that is. All I know is that I'll be there, no matter what. And that's it. That's my review of Low Rank. I think Monster Hunter is more accessible than ever before, and though I feel the series has lost a tad bit of that unique identity, I still stand by my statement that there is no other series quite like it. I give Low Rank a TGR Silver, a real shiny silver, like almost gold. You did good, kid. You did good. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and supporting the channel. Now, what will high rank hold for me? Let's find out. See you in the next one.